win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Ben Leo. Tonight, knockdown Ginger. He spent months demanding taxpayers fund his security on visits to the UK because apparently he feels unsafe. But this extraordinary image shows the moment Prince Harry knocked on random doors in a London street while searching for a friend's house, completely alone and without a police officer in sight. Also tonight,
when he was willing to put forward a candidate last week for a mayoral electorate position within our county council that was not qualified, not educated, not knowledgeable to do the role.
was that the most biased Question Time audience ever? Reform UK under fire in Hull, but today we get full details of everything a Reform government would do for the UK. Chairman Zia Youssef joins me live shortly. Also tonight...
Can. No can do.
Do you still have respect for the police? Because coppers here wake up a man dozing in Manchester before throwing him to the ground and arresting him. Meanwhile, shoplifting's out of control and Brits, of course, are being banged up for tweets. And...
What does your T-shirt say? Citizen, not subject. What does that mean? What does it mean? Well, it means we're citizens, not subjects.
Anti-monarchists hold protests all over the UK calling for the end of the royal family. Also tonight...
Babe, can I go out with my friends tonight?
Please don't go. I'm going to be really lonely if you go, and I'm going to miss you so much.
The former First Minister of Scotland, Humza Yousaf, appears to start a new career as a social media influencer. Goodness me. Joining me on my panel tonight is Communications Advisor and journalist Linda Jubilee, the former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley, and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. And can you guess how a US TV news anchor reacted when this happened on his watch?
It's not about...
Oh my goodness.
And fingers crossed that doesn't happen to my panel tonight. Big show coming up, including the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. First, though, your news headlines with Sophie Reaper.
A very good evening to you. Let's take a look at your latest headlines. India's foreign minister has reportedly stated that Pakistan has already violated a ceasefire agreement which was made just a few hours prior, with reports from the Reuters news agency suggesting that blasts continue and projectiles are still being seen in the sky. Earlier today, it was announced that India and Pakistan had agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire, with President Donald Trump declaring the deal after a long night of talks led by the US. It was also reported that formal talks on a broader peace deal are now set to begin at a neutral site. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer says Europe and the US are calling Putin out to agree a 30-day unconditional ceasefire in Ukraine. The Prime Minister, President Zelensky and other European leaders from the so-called Coalition of the Willing held a call with Donald Trump, backing a ceasefire from Monday. They're warning Putin that if he turns his back on peace, they'll respond by boosting Ukraine's economy and defence. And despite the Kremlin insisting no ceasefire can happen until the West stops arming Ukraine, Sir Keir Starmer said earlier that this ceasefire agreement is the best position they've been in so far.
The position we've now got to today is absolute unity across a whole range of countries around the world, including the United States, that there must be that 30-day unconditional ceasefire. That is the greatest unity on this point we have ever had, pulling different countries together. Clear, absolutely, there must be an unconditional ceasefire for 30 days. Clear that that means it must be without conditions.
Children and women were among dozens brought ashore in Dover this morning, the first Channel arrivals in over a week. More than 11,500 people have now crossed in small boats this year, higher than at the same point in 2023 and 2022, respectively. It comes as the Conservatives unveil what they say is a bold new deportation bill, promising automatic removal for those arriving illegally. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philps says Labour has turned a blind eye, but the government claims the plans are rehashed and half-baked. The Home Office insists there is a serious plan in place to dismantle smuggling gangs and to take back control of our borders. Calls to abolish the monarchy rang through Trafalgar Square this afternoon as anti-royal campaigners staged the UK's second so-called Republic Day. Organised by the group Republic, the protest lands on the anniversary of the King's coronation, a date they say should never have happened. Smaller rallies were also expected in Edinburgh and outside Cardiff Castle. Organisers hope to turn the tide of public opinion, saying a modern Britain deserves an elected head of state. And finally, is it already bad news for the sun seekers in the UK? Despite the Met Office predicting potential temperatures of 25 to 26 degrees this weekend, they are now also warning of the potential for thunderstorms tomorrow. The forecast has said that heavy and potentially thundery showers could arrive on Sunday, mainly affecting the West Country, South Wales and parts of the West Midlands. However, from Tuesday, the high pressure will rebuild and dry conditions and sunshine will return. So make sure to remember your sun cream and your umbrella. But for now, I'm Sophie Reaper, and those are your latest GB News headlines.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Yes, Good evening to you. Thank you for your company. Hope you had a great day in the sun today. Do you remember when Prince Harry said this last week?
Beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned, and then overnight I was reduced to the lowest.
Oh, boo-hoo. Yeah, that's when he was complaining after losing a court appeal demanding British taxpayers fund his security on visits to the UK. He lost the case, of course, because he and Meghan chose to step away from the royal family and embark on a life of celebrity in America. But as a reminder, he went whinging to the BBC about how he can only come to the UK if he's officially invited, which would give him a security team.
Where does this leave things moving forward? The ability of your children to see their grandfather?
You know, life is a precious thing, and I'm acutely aware of the fragility of that. I can only come to the UK safely if I'm invited.
Well, surprise, surprise. It turns out Prince Harry is a massive raging hypocrite. Take a look at this picture obtained by the Sun newspaper today. It's the Duke of Sussex himself, pictured on a doorbell camera, calling at houses in a London street as he looked for a friend's home. Harry, who has always insisted he feels unsafe without armed cops, tried his luck at 3 random houses before finally finding the right one. It gives a whole new meaning to the game Knock Down Ginger, doesn't it? One resident said their housekeeper opened the door but didn't recognise Harry. And another source told The Sun 2 of the houses he knocked at are at complete opposite ends of the road, which is about half a mile long. It's a bit odd he didn't seem to have a clue which house he was aiming for. I don't think many people would just walk down a road knocking on doors, let alone if you don't feel safe. The Sun on Sunday previously revealed Harry also stayed at a friend's private home and, against security protocols, had a Deliveroo sent to the front door. So let's just recap for a second, shall we? Harry's been battling the Home Office in the courts demanding taxpayers, you and I, fund huge armed police teams for when he visits the UK. He's been complaining he simply can't bring his family to Britain without armed police and refuses to fund his own private security because he's entitled to British coppers. Yet, at the same time, he's gallivanting up and down a busy London road, there he is again, that picture, knocking on random doors, all by himself, trying to find a friend's house without so much as an advisor in tow. And by the way, it was less than a year ago that Harry and Meghan were given a stately welcome to Colombia, one of the most dangerous countries on earth, in what critics called a faux royal tour. Time and time again, Harry and Meghan have both proved themselves less than reliable when it comes to the truth and left wanting in their constant pleas for sympathy. And tonight, I actually feel sorry for the King, King Charles, who, much like Meghan Markle's father, Thomas, can't see his grandchildren because of Harry and Meghan's behaviour. If Harry feels unsafe enough to walk down a London street without security, banging on doors and getting food delivered via Deliveroo, surely he can arrange to bring his kids to see their unwell grandfather at one of the very many well-protected royal households across Britain. For me, Harry's making a deliberate decision to keep his children away from the King, and it's a big crying shame. Joining me now to discuss this is the royal biographer Tom Bower, author of Rebel King, and of course the 2022 bombshell Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors. Tom, good evening, nice to see you. What do you make of this picture? I mean, I opened the Sun newspaper this morning, I just couldn't believe my eyes.
I think it just shows what a desperately sad man Harry is. And on the other hand, it does show that the litigation he brought against the Home Office was not really only about protection. He knew very well that he wasn't going to get it. I think it was all about trying to embarrass the King. It was about destroying the monarchy. It was about all the time me, and Meghan. And very much it was Harry wanting to say that he is somebody who can make huge problems for his family. And I'm not totally surprised by this. I'd heard he's pretty desperate. He was looking for company. I think that really is the issue. Harry feels completely isolated from Britain. And what's remarkable about that particular Sun exclusive is that he didn't have one of his bodyguards, who he pays a lot of money to go and find his friend. It just shows, really, that Harry's pretty incompetent above everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. As I said in the introduction, it just lays bare the rank hypocrisy. What do you make, Tom, of these accusations that Harry is using his children as a weapon, I guess, against his family? He's basically been accused of saying, look, give me this protection, or, Father, King Charles, you're not going to see the kids because I just simply can't bring them to the UK.
Of course, it's blackmail, emotional blackmail, and that's what he's been doing for some time. And unfortunately, it's something as well his mother did against Charles. The one point about all this is that Charles is not well, obviously. He's got cancer and being treated. And Harry is using that as a lever too. I think he did that interview because he was incandescent that in the end his litigation failed. It cost him allegedly £1.5 million and got him nowhere. And he shouldn't have started in the first place. The point about Harry is he doesn't know what to do anymore. He's losing all sorts of relations in Britain. He hasn't got a purpose. He's embarrassed with his charities in Africa because not only the Centre charity, but also Africa Parks is now causing him great problems. Invictus is really only once every 2 years. He's losing any reason for being the prince. And I think he's now realizing, slowly but surely, he made a terrible mistake by leaving. And this is what it's all about now. Make me an offer so I don't cause you too much embarrassment in the future.
Tom, just finally, do you think Harry's happy? Because Meghan, in the past couple of hours, she's posted some pictures of their date night last night, watching Beyonce in concert. We've got some pictures here. This is what Meghan put online a couple of hours ago. Harry there. I mean, he's smiling. He looks happy. He's wearing a pretty funky hat. This is a selfie. He looks slightly sweaty, as you'd expect at a concert, I guess. And Meghan also posted this picture of inside Harry's hat. So there's a British flag, there's a flag of the United States, there's the outline of the continent of Africa, there's Archie, Lily and the words "my love," which I think is Meghan's nickname, right, Tom? Do you think he's happy, really, Harry?
I think they're just actually brilliant media manipulators. It is extraordinary how the moment one headline comes up, or like the one in The Sun, or the moment Kate does something with her children, the Montecito media machine gets whirring up, immediately gets the retaliation in. And this is really all just part of the battle. No, he's not happy. She's clearly very unhappy because she's had some terrible reviews for her programs. But all they can do all the time is fire pot shots. Yeah. And we on this side are enjoying the spectacle because there's only one way that this can end in the end, and that's badly. But there's a lot more peaks and troughs and hijinks to go before we really see the climax of this astonishing saga.
Yeah, the Sussex psychodrama, as they call it. Tom Bower, thank you for your company. Really appreciate it. Let's get the thoughts of my panel now. The former Labour advisor Paul Richards, former Scotland Yard detective Peter Blexley, and the journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. Good evening, panel. Have you had a nice day in the sun?
Lovely. We have.
Good. You all look quite spring-like.
Yeah, we're looking good.
Ready to go.
Linda, the Lib Dem. Paul, the Green.
If only.
Peter, the... what are you?
You take a guess.
Peter, you're just Blexley. You don't need a nickname. Linda, let's start with you. Ladies first. Do you feel sorry for Harry? I do. He looks thoroughly miserable in my book.
I don't know that I feel sorry for him. I'm becoming increasingly irritated by him. And although this kind of reveals something about my age, I was actually outside the hospital where the Lindo wing is when he was born. I was one of the reporters doorstepping the hospital. So I've reported it on him across a lifetime. And I'd be the first to say that when his mother died, it was his treatment, really, by the royal family was completely appalling. But he has to be able to put the past behind him, and he has never succeeded in being able to do that. And right now, the whole idea of making taxpayers or asking taxpayers to fork out for his security, when he knows perfectly well that everyone is having a really, really hard time with the economy at the moment, is unrealistic. I'd say more than unrealistic, it's almost narcissistic the way he behaves.
But Paul, his argument is that he, by law, should be entitled to this. That other people who aren't members of the royal family, who are private citizens, get this level of security through the Home Office. So he has accused the establishment of stitching him up because he chose to leave the royal family.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of that scene in Love Actually where the Prime Minister is knocking on doors to try and find the girl of his dreams. But Hugh Grant in the movie had a copper with him, and this guy now is just wandering about London without any protection. I
mean, that's insane,
at all.
Isn't it? What's going through his head doing that?
It's a very, very dangerous thing. And, you know, not taking on the arguments about whether he should have security or not, that's been settled by the courts. But, you know, he did serve in Afghanistan, and there are people that would quite like to assassinate the son of a king, you know, who hate Britain. And to put himself in harm's way like that just seems daft. Where were the security detail? Did he dismiss them? What's going on?
What do you make of this picture on the screen, Peter Blexley, former Met Police detective? I mean, what would you say to Harry if you were his security advisor?
Well, I've supplied security to higher net worth individuals in the private sector. So I've protected people similar to him. And for him to be able to go walkabout down a London street without a security detail will have been his decision and his alone. And only he can make that decision if he is paying the security company. So I should strongly suspect that's what he's done. Now, when I read his book, Spare, I was absolutely astonished at the amount of drug taking he admitted to. And in my experience, when somebody stands down their security team, it's because they're going off to do something they don't want their security to know about.
I mean, I don't think we can say he was going to his mates to have a sex.
I hadn't quite finished, but, you know, maybe he was going round his mates for a pizza and a bit of something that he might have, you know, sourced from Colombia. Maybe he wasn't.
Oh, no.
Or maybe he wasn't.
Yikes.
But normally, people stand down their security team because they're going to do things they don't want their team to know about.
Well, obviously, Prince Harry's not here to defend himself on that. I mean, it's completely... I have to say, Peter, it's completely baseless. I mean, you are putting two...
And I said maybe. I said maybe. I didn't say was. I said maybe. Who knows? We don't know.
In his book, he talks about, was it magic mushrooms, smoking weed and cocaine as well, of course. What do you make, though, Linda, of these pictures that Meghan's put up tonight? Tom Bauer just said there's a PR exercise if we can get them back up.
Oh,
they went to a Beyonce concert, they're happy. They're in love with Linda. Look at them, they're having a great time on a date night.
It's all a charade.
Total.
It's a total grandstanding charade.
What do you think of his hat?
I actually quite like the hat, but nevertheless, I think the way they cavort around, they don't have any self-awareness at all about what people must think. They need to stop all of this, stop all the Netflix stuff, stop all the stuff that leans on all their connections and start thinking about how they might actually make a meaningful documentary and how they might actually, for example, amplify the Invictus Games or start a new charity or add to some good work.
Well, how are they going to make a living if they don't carry on with all this tripe that they keep churning out?
Don't you think the hat is a bit bonkers, though? What's it got, like writing and stuff on the inside?
It says Archie, Lily and My Love. My Love is the nickname for Meghan.
Who has that in a hat?
Paul, do you think Prince Harry, finally, before we move on, Prince Harry said that he's going to be asking Keir Starmer for help in this process to try to reform the security arrangements with the Home Office and so on?
I can't see it because of the reasons that have been discussed in law, but also just in terms of public opinion. I think he's made his own bed, he has to lie in it now.
Yeah, all right. I had, viewers at home, I had made a private pledge never to, A, do trans topics again, which I've stuck to, and B, not talk about Meghan or Harry. But this picture this morning, I woke up and I was astounded. The incompetence, the hypocrisy, I just had to do it. I had to cover it off. So there we go. Let us know what you think. What a story, by the way. A great tabloid story from my old friends at The Sun. You rang, my lord? There we go. Let us know what you think. GBNews.com/your say. Time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win a motorhome worth £67,000 and £5,000 in tax-free cash. Here's all the details you need to win.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you'd need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, up next, Linda, very quickly, I called you Lib Dem Linda for the yellow attire. Somebody has said, oh, it's gone now, where is it? Linda looks lovely in yellow, not Lib Dem at all. Someone's defending you.
It's the sunshine colour.
It is, you're here for the spring. Right, up next, why do you reckon, and this is unbelievable, why do you reckon this man in Manchester was arrested after catching 40 winks on some grass in the city centre?
No can do.
You're not going to believe this clip in full, which I'll share in just a sec. Meanwhile, shoplifting, of course, is out of control as Greggs Bakery staff resort to using bike locks on fridges to prevent food from being stolen. Have police got their priorities all wrong? Back in just a tick. Ben Leo tonight on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Now, I want to share with you a clip I came across today of Greater Manchester Police arresting a man who was catching 40 winks in the sunshine with a can of beer next to him at Piccadilly Gardens, located in the city centre. Take a look.
Can. No can do. No can do. Oh, here we go.
What are you doing? Fella, get down on the floor. Doing it, man, then. Right, we could have done it one way, yeah? We've asked for your details. Do not twist my wrist. We've asked for your details. Unnecessary. We've asked for your details. Yeah. You're drinking, yeah? As soon as we seen you, you started swearing and shouting at us. You just woke me up. Wasn't my can. Fella. You've thrown it in the bin. Fella, do you understand where we're coming from? As soon as you started getting hostage.
I mean, that for me was unbelievable, because meanwhile, shoplifting, of course, is out of control. Staff at Greg's Bakery have resorted to using bike locks on their fridges to prevent thieves from walking into the shop and stealing food from the shelves. And that kind of criminality is now a common occurrence for the bakery, and I've actually witnessed it myself last year. So while shoplifting spirals out of control and coppers are nicking people after waking them up from a nap, have the police got their priorities all wrong? And do you still trust the police to tackle crime in Britain? Well, I'm joined now by filmmaker and YouTuber and the man who recorded that incident in Manchester, Charles Veitch, and the activist Iman Aiton. Good evening to you both. Charles, nice to speak with you. I've been a big fan since the sort of 9/11 Truther days, many, many years ago. Good to see you're still having fun on YouTube. You recorded this incident as part of a wider sort of episode on YouTube. I was shocked, really. They woke him up because they accused him of having that can of beer next to him. They said there's a bylaw or something where you're not allowed to drink in Piccadilly Gardens because it's full of what you would describe as crackheads and drunks. But he was asleep, though, Charles, right? He was asleep. There was no proof that he was drinking that beer.
No. Well, that's true. There is no proof that he was drinking that beer. That's a big bone of contention in the thing. But the police, I believe, reasonably assumed it was his beer, based to the proximity. And I wasn't close enough to smell alcohol in his breath. But I just want to add a bit of context, Ben. And thank you for your kind comments as well. Big fan of your channel. And I see you all the time on YouTube on the clips that you guys put. Cool. But really, where he was drinking is Piccadilly Gardens, where there is a public space protection order. And as my viewers are aware, it's an absolute haven and a hovel for the most degenerate drinkers and drug enthusiasts. And there's a lot of narcotics dealing taking place there. And many times when I film, I see the police dealing with what I would describe as a mini riot, where, you know, a big agitated group of maybe 10, 12 people start throwing cans, bottles, and start going crazy. And maybe there's only 2 officers to deal with it. So, you know, the poor police, sometimes they can't win. You know, if they try and act all soft, people say they're soft on crime. If they come into a situation and take over it and act in a dominant manner, people say that they're going too hard on people. But in this situation, unfortunately for the gentleman being handcuffed there on the screen, he did choose to swear and get agitated. And to quote him, he said, F you guys, arrest me if you want. He refused to give his details. And because there is a threat of so many people coming running in when they hear things, I think on this occasion, the officers chose to just dominate the scene, take him into custody, and just not allow it to escalate any worse, which that area is known for.
OK. Yeah, got it. I mean, I didn't think, and I think I'm right, that you could be arrested for refusing to identify yourself unless you're suspected of committing a crime. But, Iman, what's your thoughts on this clip? Have you seen the clip in full, I take it?
Yes, I did. Thank you for having me, Ben. It's interesting. One, good job for just kind of using your expertise, sir, in terms of highlighting these things. As soon as I saw that clip, I thought, Bobby's on the beat with nothing to do. That's what I thought, genuinely. I thought, just like we've noted, I love cheese. I love going to Tesco's, and I've noticed that cheese all of a sudden is in a case that's locked up, and you have to go and get the staff member to unlock the case so you can buy cathedral cheese, which costs about £4.50 because people keep stealing it. And so what I find quite interesting is that you have these bobbies on the beat that are in an area where it's expected that people are drinking and kind of being somewhat antisocial. So maybe you might not want to put too much effort in that place because it's kind of sustained itself in not the greatest way, but hasn't kind of exceeded breaking the law in ways that people feel too uncomfortable. And maybe you could put those police in areas where they are actually needed, like you said, Ben, earlier, where people are actually stealing from shops, when they're having to have security guards not knowing what to do. Because
so you don't think these coppers should have arrested this man?
No,
but he swore at them. He effed them blind, and he was swearing. And Charles has said that it's a hotspot area for troublemakers.
Charles, exactly. Yes, precisely. I think, Charles, you highlighted some really good points. He was asleep, and yes, I appreciate that they would have naturally assumed that the beer is his, but could you not have found something better to do with your time? We have spoken about the limit that we have in terms of funding for police. We have the fact that we have a lack of police. We have the fact that we have a lack of bobbies on the beat, and then we get the bobbies on the beat, and they decide to dominate a situation because they have nothing better to do. They couldn't find themselves outside of all of the supermarkets that actually need help, and all of the people that are actually calling them.
Got it. Understood. Let me ask Charles. You are out and about almost daily, Charles, in Manchester, recording the shenanigans and goings-on. Do you, A, respect the police, and B, do you trust them?
I think yes on both counts. Obviously not heavily, like we're no boot-licking sycophant here. But from my experience, having had deep conversations with hundreds of them over the last decade doing what I do, I find that there's the exact same rate of idiots in the police as there are in the general public, because the police are selected from the public. Obviously, they are human beings. And if you want to look at numbers of crime as well, I did the count before I came on the show so that I could be well researched to show you respect, Ben. And there's about 174,000 active police officers on duty within the 4 countries in the United Kingdom. And a city the size of 174,000 will have murders, rapes, robberies, thefts, drug taking. And so the police are human beings, and we do expect them to turn into supermen when they put on the uniform. But in my opinion, I'm surprised not more of them are on antidepressants and quitting, because Manchester is the Wild West. And I do appreciate there are some people that have angles that the police have nothing better to do. But where that man was laid down, you know, as a corpse, drinking beer in the daytime where you're not allowed to drink alcohol because of the social order problems, there's a kids' play area 20 yards away. Why should the parents have to see a drunk man?
I do apologise, but you're contradicting yourself, sir, because your original sentiment was very much centred around the fact that this is an anti-social area. It is known for this type of behaviour. And we also couple the fact that Ben acknowledged that there are other issues going on within our society. We're not finding the police there immediately outside of Tesco's. We're not finding them when we're needed, when we call 999, or there are any other issues going on in society that are really, you know, important for
Charles,
us.
last word to you.
Understanding.
Sorry, we just pushed for time. Charles, last word to you.
I think the police should really ramp up stop and search massively. There's too many machete and too many young black men dying of knife crime. We need more stop and search.
Okay, thank you both. Charles Veitch, sorry, go on, Iman.
They've had it for 50 years. Sorry.
Thank you, Iman. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Work on that one.
Got it. Thank you for your company, both Charles Veitch and activist Iman Ayson. A spokesman for Greater Manchester Police said Piccadilly Gardens is subject to a public spaces protection order, as Charles said, which covers the consumption of alcohol and means it cannot be consumed within a public space within that defined area. Officers were enforcing that as Piccadilly Gardens has had issues with drug users and drinkers gathering there. In relation to this particular incident, I understand the man refused to provide details and swore at police, resulting in his arrest. Peter Blexley, very, very quick word. What do you make of seeing that clip as a former copper, of course, from the Met?
If you want zero tolerance policing, this is what you're going to see a lot of, and I'm a fan of that. I like robust policing.
Rudy Giuliani, broken window theory. Got it. Quite right. Right, coming up. Was this clip, I mean, the whole episode actually, was this the most biased Question Time audience ever?
And he was willing to put forward a candidate last week for a mayoral electorate position within our county council that was not qualified, not educated, not knowledgeable to do the role.
Let me tell you, it was a hell of an episode. Chairman of Reform UK, Zia Youssef, gives his take on that next. Plus, more importantly, his party's big reveal today on how they're going to fix what they call broken Britain. This is Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
An unsettled spell across central parts of Europe, the potential to see some quite heavy thunderstorms, but elsewhere it should be mostly dry. Plenty of sunshine, bar the odd shower across parts of Greece, but Croatia, Montenegro, plenty of sunshine here. But as we shift our way further west, some heavy thunderstorms possible, particularly across northwestern parts of Spain, southern parts of France, but elsewhere across Spain and Portugal, Madeira and also Tenerife, largely dry with sunny spells and feeling warm in the sunshine too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there, good evening. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Hope you've enjoyed all the sunshine that we've had around today, and it will be staying fairly fine and settled for most of us this evening and into the overnight period. We do, though, just have to watch out for some showers that are going to start drifting their way in from the southwest, so primarily for the Channel Islands, but increasingly spreading into parts of the West Country later on in the night as well. One or two of those could be on the heavy side. Dry for everywhere else, though, and it is going to be a mild night, certainly frost-free, but temperatures around 8, maybe 12 degrees Celsius as we kick off Sunday morning. We do have another area of rain just slowly pushing its way into the far northwest of Scotland as well. As we start off today, the bulk of it is still out towards the sea, but we'll eventually see some showers and outbreaks spreading into the Outer Hebrides, parts of the Highlands as well. Generally dry though for the rest of Scotland, Northern England and into Northern Ireland as well. For Northern Ireland though, there will be some showers cropping up later on in the day, as this area of showers across the southwest will also continue its journey northward, so gradually spreading into southern areas of Wales into the afternoon as well. Certainly rain is needed after a very dry spring so far, but these showers are going to be quite short and sharp and will provide some torrential downpours in places with the potential for some thunderstorms, maybe even some lightning and hail, so some localised impacts are possible. Further towards the east though, it's going to be a very warm day for the time of year, highs of 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Our showers in the south are all driven by this area of low pressure that is very slowly continuing its journey in towards the UK, and that will still be lingering into Monday as well. So further outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland, and then we'll see further showers spreading in from the south across Wales. But we wouldn't take the graphics here too literally. There are still uncertainties on the exact spread of these showers as we head throughout Monday, but certainly potential for further downpours are possible. But things will settle up quite nicely as we head throughout the rest of next week, with sunshine and warm temperatures continuing.
Headliners on GB News 11 PM every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 PM and 5 AM as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 PM every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hello, welcome back. Now, after their seismic victory in the recent elections, Reform UK has revealed today what it would do to fix Britain. Just some of the proposals include freezing immigration and stopping the small boats crisis by leaving the ECHR, abolishing net zero and reviving the North Sea oil and gas industry, or drill baby drill, as many say, cutting waste, inefficiency and the bureaucracy in the NHS, and cutting taxes, including introducing a £20,000 personal allowance and scrapping inheritance tax for estates under £2 million, and also for homeowners abolishing stamp duty, plus cutting regulations for small businesses, and also banning two-tier justice. Well, I'm joined now by the chairman of Reform UK, Zia Youssef. Zia, good evening. Thank you for your company. Big article today from Nigel Farage, your leader, in the Daily Mail. Can we start, please, with the, I guess, one of the headline policies, if you want to call it that, is the tax reductions. 20k basic allowance up from, what, 12.5 at the moment. Inheritance tax only on estates over £2 million. How much will all this cost the Treasury? How much is this going to cost a reform government, should you get there?
Good evening, Ben, and good evening to all of you GB News viewers. Well, the first thing to say about the £20,000, you know, that has been a reform policy for some time, but I'm always actually quite surprised about how few people, including Reform voters, are aware that this is actually one of our flagship policies. One of the reasons why it's so important that people earning below £20,000 a year don't pay income tax, Ben, is because we live in this crazy country right now where if you're on benefits, and we all know the numbers, the amounts of money being spent on benefits of all kinds are eye-watering and only growing more so. If you are currently on benefits and you start working more than 16 hours a week, your marginal rate of tax, taking into account the loss of benefits, is over 100%. So it's not a case of, well, maybe the work's not quite worth the effort. We hear on the doorstep time and time again from people who say, look, I'm on benefits, I would like to start working again, but I just can't afford to because I literally have less money at the end of the month for rent and for food and for living. So the reality is what will end up happening by eliminating income tax below £20,000 is we will start to revivify our workforce. Way too many people in this country are economically inactive, and the unemployment rate is a completely bogus number. So the unemployment rate, it seems quite low, but what's actually happening is huge swathes of the population, including sadly young people now, are opting out of the workforce. So that's one of the primary reasons we do it.
How much will it cost?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, how much will it cost, all these tax reductions?
So we believe after the, and we'll publish this analysis in due course, but our expectation is actually this will be a positive net effect for the Exchequer. One of the things that's been really interesting, right, in this Labour government is all of these Rachel Reeves tax increases. And when somebody says a tax increase, what she actually means is she's raising the percentage, right? So you look at inheritance tax, you look at capital gains tax. What we're seeing already, and it's actually quite shocking how quickly we're seeing it, is that the absolute revenue for the Exchequer is declining as a result of the percentage increases in tax. So the reason we want to increase the basic allowance up to £20,000, so earnings below that threshold are not caught up in income tax, is because we expect it will result in more tax revenue for the Exchequer net. Really important, though, I want to caveat that, net of the reduction in the costs of benefits.
So you're not
to make work pay for young people, Ben.
Yeah.
Not just so the people earning less than £20,000 a year or less than £25,000 a year in general are amongst the youngest in society.
Okay.
So these are people either graduating from university or have gone straight into the world of work, or people like my mum, who's a nurse, who's just turned 70, who is working again. We're going to need those people to have every incentive to work again, given the demographic challenges this country has.
So, Zia, just to clarify, you're saying you won't need to find this money from elsewhere to plug any gap to the Treasury with these tax cuts?
That's right. We think within a few years, this will pay for itself, yeah.
OK, interesting. Mel Stride of the Conservative Party, I'm sure you're familiar with him, he tweeted this a few hours ago, Zia. I'm sure you've seen it. He says, "This is fantasy economics, tens of billions in unfunded pledges. Anyone can promise giveaways, but responsible government means not making commitments you can't keep. Reform would do exactly what Labour have done, pretend that there are no tough choices, then break every promise." What's your response to Mel Stride, Zia?
I think that tweet is a parody of itself. I mean, you talk about breaking promises. This is the same party that promised to reduce net migration down to the tens of thousands and left office with that number at over 1 million. It's the party supposedly of low taxes that left office with the tax burden on working people at the highest level since World War II, and the party that tripled the national debt. So, look, one of the really interesting things about I think Nigel's first 100 days is, I believe it will be, and this is what we're working towards, the most transformative first 100 days of any Prime Minister in British history. We're going to need it, given the devastating state the country is going to be in no small part because of Mr. Stride's and his party's legacy. But the reality is we're going to have to cut spending. And we're already really clear when people ask, oh, where will you cut spending? Well, how about the £15 billion a year we spend on foreign aid each year? We still send foreign aid to half the world's nuclear powers. And there's nothing about that that's remotely acceptable. No. The taxpayers' expenses just on net zero alone are north of 12 billion. The asylum hotels and the cost of illegal migration, somewhere between 7 and 18 billion, depending on which analyst you listen to. So Nigel's got 30 to 50 billion pounds in cuts that he can make that are going to do nothing other than improve the quality of life of people.
Liz Truss wanted to do similarly revolutionary things, but she was obstructed by the likes of the Bank of England and the OBR. Would you get rid of the OBR?
I think the track record of the OBR is appalling, but I do want to make a really important point about Liz Truss. Yeah. There were some things about the budget that were good. Yeah, she wanted to accelerate growth and she abolished the top rate of income tax, but she did make no spending cuts. She was absolutely about trying to have her cake and eat it, just like Boris Johnson was. So we're really clear. We will make cuts in absolute terms in certain areas that are not going to impact the lives of British citizens. However, However, we do need to get our economy growing again, and we have to make Britain the most attractive country in the world to start, scale and run a business.
OK, just a few more things before I let you go. This is a clip from the Question Time episode in Hull. Let me just play this, then get your thoughts. One sec.
Really sorry, but I have a huge issue with Richard talking about the incompetence of his colleagues on the panel when he was willing to put forward a candidate last week for a mayoral electorate position within our county council that was not qualified, not educated, not knowledgeable to do the role, didn't even want to do it until someone went into his emails and it slid into his DMs effectively and asked him.
For those who don't know, so Luke Campbell, who is a former Olympic champion boxer, and he was elected for Hull and East Yorkshire. And yes, he's not held political office before.
Yes,
elected
sorry.
Mayor.
Yeah, and what I would say to you, Richard, the fact that you are willing to put somebody in that position to manage this city in terms of its budget, the people in it and what is best for us shows me everything that I need to know about you as a politician and you as a party.
So, yeah, Luke Campbell got nearly 50,000 votes in that mayoral race, and that episode was in Hull. So how did the BBC manage to find an audience so biased, I guess, against Luke Campbell and reform?
I mean, it's unbelievable. I do not know how they managed to stack the deck so far against reform. It doesn't do them any good because, as you just pointed out, Luke Campbell just won a resounding majority, a resounding mandate. He is an MBE for services to boxing. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He's also a business owner. He's got a successful gym. He's done very well in property. Ostensibly, he's unqualified, in inverted commas, because he is not deeply corrupt and incompetent, which seems to have been the only qualifications needed to become a Labour cabinet minister, or indeed a Tory cabinet minister over the last 2 decades. So I mean, by the way, that was supposedly a question. I don't know what that was. It was certainly not a question.
it was outright snobbery, calling him... sorry to interrupt. It was just snobbery, calling him uneducated. I mean, being educated means nothing for me these days. Just finally, Zia, we're short of time. The Southport killer, the scumbag, I'm not going to name him, he, of course, was in the headlines again today. He allegedly threw some boiling water over a prison officer. What's Reform's stance on the death penalty? Just briefly.
Well, I'm not going to make policy. We're taking seriously the business of government. I'm not going to make policy live on your show, Ben. Right. What I will say is we urgently need a review into what on earth is going on in our maximum security jails. It was only a few weeks ago that prison guards were attacked inside a kitchen with boiling oil and kitchen utensils. Now we have probably the highest profile, most despicable monster in our jails being given access to boiling water. I mean, it beggars belief, and something needs to be done, and soon.
OK, Zia Youssef, Chairman of Reform, thank you. Really appreciate your company. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you. Right, coming up next, I went down to London today for a big anti-monarchy protest. Take a look.
What does your T-shirt say? Citizen, not subject. What does that mean? What does it mean? Well, it means we're citizens, not subjects.
They want to get rid of the royal family. Do you? Back in just a tick.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Amazing. I'm so pleased for him, and I think everybody in Northern Ireland. He did defeat an Englishman in the playoff.
He did.
Which is,
Justin Rose.
Yeah.
See, Justin Rose, not many people are going to talk about Justin Rose, well, apart from us.
Yes.
But Justin Rose, it talk about, you know, the bridesmaid and the bride, and it's been that with Rory. He's been the runner-up in the Masters twice. and 44 years old, and to do what he did and get a round of 66 was incredible. But Rory, see, people have written Rory off, and I've got to admit, even a couple of years ago, and I'm thinking, this is not going to happen for Rory, because it's this ultimate Grand Slam. Now, I think in golf, the Grand Slam is probably harder to win than any other sport, tennis, anything else. Because if you just look at the list, so this is basically to win the PGA, the American PGA, the US Open, the Open here, and the Masters. So this is to win the big four throughout your career. And only Gene Sarazen in 35, Ben Hogan in 1953, Gary Player in 1965, the legendary Jack Nicklaus in 66, and Tiger Woods in 2000. They're the only people to have done it. And if you think of all the great golfers over the years, nobody, apart from them, have managed it. And now Rory's managed it, and that makes him the greatest European golfer there has ever been.
Well, there's emotion you see there. I mean, you see which he so wants. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, he broke down in tears at the end, and it's not surprising because this is the thing. And it's 2011 was the last time he won a major. So at the time when he was much younger, they were coming left, right, and centre, and you think this kid's going to do everything. And then he was winning tournaments, but not those majors. And it was the Masters. That was the one he wanted. Well, give him a bus tour. You know, get the open top bus out. Get him around. And,
he will.
He'll deserve it. I mean, absolute hero.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. We just had a chat with Reform UK Chairman Zia Youssef about the big details of reforms plans, scrapping inheritance tax, bumping up the tax allowance and so on. Let's get some reaction from Paul Richards, former Labour Party Special Advisor. Let's get some balance, shall we, Paul? What about both sides of the debate on this show and indeed on this channel? What do you make of that?
Well, last week he was saying he was going to ban historic county flags from above our county halls, and then 2 days later he had to do a screeching U-turn when he got slapped down on that. This is this on steroids. He's now going to have to be slapped down on this splurging of spending commitments all over the place without anything to back it up.
He said there are no spending commitments.
But the tax cuts he's talking about will cost money to the National Health Service. It reminds me of Corbyn, where he used to go around with fiscally incontinently describing, you know, free Wi-Fi and free dentistry and God knows what. You have to know how you're going to pay for stuff.
Well, Zia Youssef said that the money, they won't need to find the money to cover tax reductions because it will pay for itself. You get more tax receipts, more people in the workforce.
If you listen to what Mel Stride was saying, and he's a Conservative, but he was the chair of the Treasury Select Committee, he basically called it fantasy economics, and I tend to agree.
Right. OK. You're not a fan, then?
Not a fan.
Just without saying. OK, interesting. I, for one, absolutely love scrapping inheritance tax. I've said many times on this show, it's a legalised mafia tax. You know, taxing somebody's estate after they've died is a scourge. Right, coming up, the first front pages from tomorrow's newspapers, plus an American TV news anchor has been getting a lot of stick for a guest who collapsed on his show. It's a really good clip. You don't want to miss it. Stick with me. The papers are next. Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Hope you've enjoyed all the sunshine that we've had around today, and it will be staying fairly fine and settled for most of us this evening and into the overnight period. We do, though, just have to watch out for some showers that are going to start drifting their way in from the southwest, so primarily for the Channel Islands, but increasingly spreading into parts of the West Country later on in the night as well. 1 or 2 of those could be on the heavy side. Dry for everywhere else, though, and it is going to be a mild night, certainly frost-free, but temperatures around 8, maybe 12 degrees Celsius as we kick off Sunday morning. We do have another area of rain just slowly pushing its way into the far northwest of Scotland as well. As we start off today, the bulk of it is still out towards the sea, but we'll eventually see some showers and outbreaks spreading into the Outer Hebrides, parts of the Highlands as well. Generally dry though for the rest of Scotland, Northern England and into Northern Ireland as well. For Northern Ireland though, there will be some showers cropping up later on in the day, as this area of showers across the southwest will also continue its journey northward, so gradually spreading into southern areas of Wales into the afternoon as well. Certainly rain is needed after a very dry spring so far, but these showers are going to be quite short and sharp and will provide some torrential downpours in places with the potential for some thunderstorms, maybe even some lightning and hail, so some localised impacts are possible. Further towards the east though, it's going to be a very warm day for the time of year, highs of 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Our showers in the south are all driven by this area of low pressure that is very slowly continuing its journey in towards the UK, and that will still be lingering into Monday as well. So further outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland, and then we'll see further showers spreading in from the south across Wales. But we wouldn't take the graphics here too literally. There are still uncertainties on the exact spread of these showers as we head throughout Monday, but certainly potential for further downpours are possible. But things will settle up quite nicely as we head throughout the rest of next week, with sunshine and warm temperatures continuing.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 10 p.m. I'm Ben Leo, and breaking tonight, a frankly astonishing story and another example of free speech under attack in tomorrow's Daily Telegraph. A retired police officer was arrested over a thought crime tweet. Julian Folks was visited by coppers after he posted on social media about the Palestine marches. And when police looked around his house, they commented on some of the Brexity books in his possession, including Douglas Murray's War on the West. The 71-year-old was handcuffed and locked in a police cell for 8 hours for a 10-word comment on social media. More on that in just a tick. Elsewhere, an investigation in the Sunday Times has revealed a British Airways lounge worker at Heathrow Airport and an NHS doctor have links to Hezbollah. The pair run a charity which has raised more than £300,000 for aid projects in Lebanon with the apparent blessing of the terrorist group, and one of them has also praised the heroism of martyred Hezbollah fighters. Elsewhere, commit any crime and you're out. Migrants are warned on the front page of the Daily Mail. It seems Labour are taking the fight to reform by looking like they're getting tough on migration. Do you trust them? Those who commit any crime will be kicked out of the country under a new government crackdown. And on the front page of The Sun, I was off my nut on Valium and diazepam. No, not me. That's what Danny Dyer says in a new chat. The EastEnders actor says he was on a lot of drugs whilst filming the soap and has question marks over the BBC's responsibility for his safety. Joining me on my panel tonight is journalist and communications advisor Linda Jubilee, the former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. All right, all the newspaper front pages hot off the press in just a second, but first let's get your news headlines with Sophie Reaper.
A very good evening to you. Let's take a look at your latest headlines. India's foreign minister has reportedly stated that Pakistan has already violated a ceasefire agreement which was made just a few hours prior, with reports from the Reuters news agency suggesting that blasts continue and projectiles are still being seen in the sky. Earlier today, it was announced that India and Pakistan had agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire, with President Donald Trump declaring the deal after a long night of talks led by the US. It was also reported that formal talks on a broader peace deal are now set to begin at a neutral site. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer says Europe and the US are calling Putin out to agree a 30-day unconditional ceasefire in Ukraine. The Prime Minister, President Zelensky and other European leaders from the so-called Coalition of the Willing held a call with Donald Trump, backing a ceasefire from Monday. They're warning Putin that if he turns his back on peace, they'll respond by boosting Ukraine's economy and defence. And despite the Kremlin insisting no ceasefire can happen until the West stops arming Ukraine, Sir Keir Starmer said earlier that this ceasefire agreement is the best position they've been in so far.
The position we've now got to today is absolute unity across a whole range of countries around the world, including the United States, that there must be that 30-day unconditional ceasefire. That is the greatest unity on this point we have ever had, pulling different countries together. Clear, absolutely, there must be an unconditional ceasefire for 30 days. Clear that that means it must be without conditions.
Children and women were among dozens brought ashore in Dover this morning, the first Channel arrivals in over a week. More than 11,500 people have now crossed in small boats this year, higher than at the same point in 2023 and 2022, respectively. It comes as the Conservatives unveil what they say is a bold new deportation bill, promising automatic removal for those arriving illegally. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philps says Labour has turned a blind eye, but the government claims the plans are rehashed and half-baked. The Home Office insists there is a serious plan in place to dismantle smuggling gangs and to take back control of our borders. Calls to abolish the monarchy rang through Trafalgar Square this afternoon as anti-royal campaigners staged the UK's second so-called Republic Day. Organised by the group Republic, the protest lands on the anniversary of the King's coronation, a date they say should never have happened. Smaller rallies were also expected in Edinburgh and outside Cardiff Castle. Organisers hope to turn the tide of public opinion, saying a modern Britain deserves an elected head of state. And finally, is it already bad news for the sun seekers in the UK? Despite the Met Office predicting potential temperatures of 25 to 26 degrees this weekend, they are now also warning of the potential for thunderstorms tomorrow. The forecast has said that heavy and potentially thundery showers could arrive on Sunday, mainly affecting the West Country, South Wales and parts of the West Midlands. However, from Tuesday, the high pressure will rebuild and dry conditions and sunshine will return. So make sure to remember your sun cream and your umbrella. But for now, I'm Sophie Reaper, and those are your latest GB News headlines.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Lots of front pages have just dropped and there are some juicy stories on the front to get stuck into. Let's start with the Sunday Telegraph. Great story on the front. Retired policeman arrested for thought crime tweet. A pensioner was held by cops in a cell for 8 hours after Gaza March Online post. He basically posted about Palestine protesters online, and he was scrutinised by coppers over his, quote, Brexity books inside his house, including a Douglas Murray book called War on the West, one of his great books of recent years. Elsewhere, the Sun newspaper. I love this one as well. Danny Dyer exclusive. I was off my nuts on EastEnders. A lot of Valium and diazepam. The Mail on Sunday. Commit any crime and you're out, migrants to be warned. Migrants could be kicked out of the country if they commit any crime under a planned government crackdown. Apparently, amid panic over the reform surge, Labour finally gets tough on foreign offenders. I mean, to me, that's common sense. I don't know why it's such a big deal. The Independent. For all their sakes, ends the deafening silence on Gaza now. The world has turned its gaze away from the renewed assault on Gaza and the blockade that's trapped 2 million Palestinians, The Independent reports. The Sunday Express headline reads, new crackdown on immigration lawyers abusing the system. Foreign criminals and failed asylum seekers will not be able to abuse controversial human rights laws under new government plans. The Sunday Mirror, the Duchess of Sussex exclusive. Harry and Meghan again. Have you had enough of them? Meghan's dad's new life, a world away from hers. Apparently, the estranged father, Thomas Markle, is renting a £500 a month apartment in the Philippines with his son. Right, let's look at this front page story on the Daily Telegraph. To me, it's extraordinary. Let me just read you some detail. We've got it here, hot off the press. It's the first time I've laid my eyes on it. So, a retired special constable was arrested and detained over a social media post warning about the threat of anti-Semitism in Britain. Julian Foulkes, he's 71, from Gillingham in Kent, was handcuffed at his home by 6 police officers from Kent Police, the force he'd served for a decade, after challenging a supporter of pro-Palestinian marchers on X. We've got a clip. This is the body-worn camera from one of the coppers who arrested him at his home. Take a look.
But I do feel people need to know what's going on out there. And if they think that they're quite safe and they can just sit at home and maybe just knock out a little tweet that, you know, they think is a bit edgy or whatever, you know, just be aware of the climate out there at the moment. And, you know, it could be a knock on your door. And the officers that basically went through everything in my house.
I mean, that's chilling. It is chilling. And I should say, this started in October 23. The Home Office tonight have said this happened under a previous government, so they're blaming the Tories. But regardless, I mean, they call the Uni Party for a reason. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Linda Jubilee, Paul Richards and Peter Blexley. Peter, it makes sense to come to you first. Coppers who raided this chap's house, Julian Foulkes, and arrested him, they were pointing out his very Brexity things, including an issue of The Spectator and picking up a book from Douglas Murray, the academic and writer, called War on the West. What's going on here?
Unfortunately, none of this surprises me. And I'll tell you why.
Because policing is in the grip of academia. All the senior cops, they've been to universities, got their shiny degrees and had their heads full of pseudo-intellectual claptrap from liberals and Marxists and God knows who at university. And, of course, these days, with the insistence that so many of the frontline cops have their degrees, I've been to some of these universities, I've witnessed some of the teaching that they have, and they're being taught by people who have never had as much as a paper cut, let alone done any proper policing. And it is this indoctrination of the police service that has to be stopped, reversed, and get a police service that will protect free speech and not police it, and police without fear or favour.
Why do police forces now require officers to have a degree? I mean, it's a fairly, I say fairly new, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Surely, and again, this goes back to the question time clip we played with Zia Youssef earlier, the lady in the audience accusing Luke Campbell, the new mayor of Hull, of being uneducated, as if a university education is some sort of, you know, top-tier achievement in life. Many billionaires, Richard Branson and the like, I think Bill Gates as well, have proven that you don't need to be university educated to do well. Why do the police force insist on having degrees when officers join the ranks?
Intellectual snobbery.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And a dislike of blue-collar workers and those who work at the front line, who do the really mucky, unglamorous jobs of rolling around on the pavement with robbers, shoplifters, burglars and car thieves and the such like. Those intellectual clowns that run the show think, yeah, well, we better get them degrees because we're the intellectual elite now. We're rubbing shoulders with academia. Yeah, and do you know what? Ever since they've done that, trust and respect in policing has tanked, crime's gone through the roof, and look where we're at.
Yep, you're not wrong. Linda Jubilee, what do you make of this? In footage, Mr Falk's home was searched and officers picked up lots of his personal belongings, including a newspaper cutting of a story of his daughter, Francesca, who was killed by a drunk driver in Ibiza, and the coppers were commenting on how sad it was. I mean, for a tweet, come on.
It's utterly ridiculous, and sometimes I do disagree with Peter, but he made many good points there, and I think this is backed up by one particular paragraph where it says, the police spokesman said, Kent Police expunged the caution from the man's record and were pleased to facilitate this correction, as though somehow they're doing something praiseworthy. Then adding a further review of the matter will now be carried out to identify any learning opportunities. That's the kind of language which it's I don't know who they've got in their press department or who's handling their communications, but those words are so meaningless. It's just word salad.
It's quite telling, though, isn't it? When you hear people use that kind of inane language, word salad, it tells you all you need to know about a person.
That's what I'm saying. It backs up Peter.
This happened under the Tory government in 2013. 2003. So 2023. Goodness me. Shortly after the Hamas attacks, but still.
Well, I don't know if it was a person that wrote it. It sounds like AI wrote that particular response. I'm going to give the police a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here, though, just for the sake of argument, which is we don't know what this guy actually wrote, do we? None of us know what he said. And it could...
The caution's been wiped from the record.
But we don't...
No crime was committed.
No, for sure. And it could
no crime was committed.
It could have been any kind of vile language or a death threat.
Well, do you know what?
Vile language is not a crime, necessarily.
But I would say it does remind us that if you're going to say something on social media, the same test should apply, would you say it to somebody's face?
Yeah.
Because social media is not a safe space where you can just say anything you like. It's not ungoverned, it is governed by the law.
And when the old Bill turn up, say nothing and insist on a lawyer. Never accept a caution. Get a lawyer. Because here, clearly, they can't be trusted. They've hoodwinked into a man into accepting a caution which can have catastrophic repercussions for you, and they've had to end up wiping it from the record. Shame on them. Get a lawyer. Say nothing.
Yeah, indeed. And by the way, this guy gave 10 years of service to Kent Police. I'm not saying anybody should be above the law because they were a copper previously, but, you know, goodness me, use your brain a bit. Paul, you're saying, just briefly before we move on, you were saying, you know, just be careful about what you say online. You're not immune from...
just fair, you know, apply a sort of common sense test before you hit that button where you're, you know, accusing people of stuff or threatening people. If you wouldn't do it in a pub to somebody's face, don't do it online.
I think you should... I might get some stick for this. I don't think there should be any scenario in the world, regardless of what you say online, where you have police officers knocking on your door?
If you're accusing somebody of something online that is not true, then the same laws of slander and libel.
defamation. That's defamation.
Or malicious
not
communication.
coppers at your door.
Malicious communication.
Yeah.
I mean, we could see in the Nicola Bulley case,
right,
when a TikToker went down to the banks of the river and filmed her body being pulled through the reeds onto the bank. He'd already broken through the police coordination. I believe that guy was prosecuted under the Malicious Communications Act because he put out a TikTok
People
message.
just
There
need to be
are undoubtedly
careful.
some situations where you would bring a prosecution, but I do agree with what Paul's saying. Everyone should exercise the power of self-editing before they press the send
that will never
button.
happen. I mean, some of them, I suppose we all get them. Some of the tweets that we get, they make me laugh.
Horrific, aren't they? You know, what are people thinking, for heaven's sake?
Yeah. Right, a Home Office spokesperson said about this story, this incident occurred under the previous government. The Home Secretary has made clear that she believes all police forces should be focused on the central priorities of the government's Safer Streets mission, including rebuilding neighbourhood policing, reducing antisocial behaviour and making progress towards the unprecedented ambition to halve knife crime and violence against women and girls within a decade. I'll just add, Lucy Connolly's still in prison for that tweet during the Southport riots, 2.5 years for a tweet which she deleted 4 hours later. So what does that tell you? Time now for the Great British Giveaway, our biggest to date. Your chance to win a full-berth motorhome worth £67,000 and £5,000 in tax-free cash on top to spend on whatever you want. Here's all the details you need to win.
It really is our biggest prize package to date, and it could be all yours, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine yourself driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome worth over £67,000. You'll find it has plenty of room to accommodate your family of 4. Comes with sky roof, kitchen and bathroom, and can be driven on a standard driving licence. We'll also boost your bank account with a further £5,000 in tax-free cash. There's one guaranteed winner for this prize package worth over £72,000, and that winner really could be you. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, good luck to you. Coming up, more front pages, including this one from The Sun. Danny Dyer says he was off his nut on Valium and diazepam whilst filming EastEnders. So, yeah, we'll get the panel's thoughts on that. And also a great one on the front of the Sunday Express. The government apparently is going to be cracking down on dodgy immigration lawyers. Back in just a tick.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying. That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Well, joining us now is the Chief Scout at the Scouting Association, Dwayne Fields. Dwayne, welcome to the programme. Thank you for joining us. You must be delighted at the partnership with the Princess of Wales, and the video is you were in that creation.
Yeah, so good morning, first of all. Yes, I'm absolutely delighted with it. The Princess of Wales has been one of our joint presidents for some time now, and hopefully that will continue. There's no reason to think it won't. And I am delighted. Her platform allows for her to really basically become a megaphone for all the great things we do in Scouting. And there's no denying it. Every single week, we've got 500,000 young people and adult volunteers meeting, and they are learning, building friendships, learning those really important skills for life, having fun, like I said, making friendships. And they're doing all of this voluntarily. And just like I am, so is the Princess of Wales. What you've mentioned there, you know, the being at one with nature, being at peace in nature, I think it's really important for young people to spend time outdoors. We recognize from all the reports, and you yourself have even spoken about it, mental health issues that we have in society nowadays. Now, this isn't the silver bullet, but I think it is part of the solution. The more young people we can get to spend time in our natural spaces, I think the better we'll be, generally speaking, when we're talking about well-being. Now, in regards to what young people do in our scout groups, it could range from cooking to map reading to model making. Whatever skills the volunteer brings are the skills that we utilize in our groups.
I just don't think I would suit the shorts at my age, but that's it. But there's
Dwayne. Look great in the necker.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. More front pages have just dropped, and as I promised, there are some big, juicy stories to get stuck into. Joining me now is the former senior correspondent of the Sunday Times and former political advisor Andrew Gilligan. Andrew, good evening. Thank you for your company. I'm not sure if you'll know about this, but breaking in the last few minutes, it's on the Mail Online. It's going to be in the Mail on Sunday tomorrow. The headline reads, Andrew, Boris Johnson allies predicts the former Prime Minister will swoop in to rescue the Tories when reform self-destructs in just a matter of years. Speculation about Mr Johnson's ambitions have been revived because allies and friends have said that as soon as Reform UK implode within the next 3 years, Boris Johnson will return back and rescue the Tories and live happily ever after. What's your thoughts, please, Andrew, on that?
I haven't spoken to Boris about it, but it's totally inevitable you get these kind of stories. I don't think he's actually pushing this. I think it's one of the things that people are just saying organically for themselves. He's got, I think, 4 things he's got to do if he wants to come back. I do think there is a possibility, but he's got to do 4 things. He's got to show how he would run Downing Street differently than last time, less chaotically. He's got to show how his policies would be different, because don't forget, you know, a lot of Boris's policies were criticised. You know, obviously taxes were raised, immigration went up, so on. He's got to, I think, still probably live down a few sort of memories of. I think some people's memories might need another sort of, you know, year or two to sort of fade a bit. And the 4th thing, the most important obstacle, I think, is he's got to get a seat. He's got to get a parliamentary seat. And there aren't very many by-elections coming up that the Tories could win, and anything that does will be in the gift of the leader. And the current leader, no current leader, would want to give that by-election to Boris, because they would know that that would be a cue for endless speculation about their future.
Indeed. I know you say that, you know, time could be a healer here, but I'm just not quite sure the electorate will forgive Boris for that. You had the Boris wave, so-called 1.2 million migrants coming here since, was it 2021? The net zero, Boris was a big proponent of that, and you could argue a lot of reform voters, at least, that the Tories need to win back, absolutely hate net zero. Let me just read you a paragraph, Andrew, from this Mail on Sunday story. It says, according to a Boris ally, whoever that may be, it says, Boris is convinced that the wheels will come off the reform bandwagon within 3 years, that they will be found wanting in the areas where they've won power, and voters will tire of all the fruitcakes and loonies they have in their ranks. Then he'd come back as leader. I mean, it sounds like David Cameron and UKIP, that kind of rhetoric.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure who said that. It doesn't sound like anyone actually close to Boris. And obviously, I know the people close to Boris, and I don't think they would talk like that. But I do think, as I say, I do think there's a possibility. I think that, look, one of the interesting things is the importance of leadership. One of the fascinating things about reform is that under Richard Tice's leadership, they were going absolutely nowhere. And remember, Richard Tice was the front man for reform in the first week or two of the election campaign last year. and they were going absolutely nowhere. They had all the excitement and charisma of a rice pudding. And then suddenly back comes Farage and everything changes. So one charismatic figure can make an awful lot of difference.
OK, Andrew...
and I'm sure that Boris could be that person if the Tory party starts kind of getting sufficiently worried.
OK, indeed. He's certainly a character. He does have. I'm going to open, if you don't mind, the conversation up to my panel. Linda Jubilee, Paul Richards, Peter Blexley. Paul Richards is here, former Labour Party advisor. Have you got a question for Andrew?
Well, do you think there's a certain degree of wishful thinking going on here? Because I was at a Labour conference this morning, funnily enough, where the same wishful thinking was that all these reform councillors are bound to get it wrong and implode, and it's all going to go horribly wrong. A few have resigned already, but actually the way our system works is that officers, direct a lot of the funding, and a lot of it's statutory, and they haven't got that much power anyway. So do you think there's a lot of wishful thinking in the Boris camp that it's all going to go horribly wrong when it may not?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I thought that quote didn't quite ring true as somebody really close, as somebody actually close to Boris. And I think that even if it does go slightly pear-shaped for reform, as it could well do, I think they'll probably find out they haven't got an awful lot of power, like you say. Yeah. And I think they'll probably find out that running things is really difficult. And actually, there are various services you're legally obliged to provide that take up about 90% of the money. There's not a lot of difference you can actually make in many ways. Now, they'll probably find that out. They'll probably manage, I think, to blame some of it on the government, and they'll probably say it's not us, Gov, and people might buy that. But I think it is slightly wishful thinking to imagine that they will simply implode. I think an awful lot of people sort of kidded themselves that reform would never break through the 25% barrier, that they'd never win control of councils in the way they have. But, they've got control of all sorts of places. They've got control of where I'm sitting now in Lancashire. They've got control of Kent. They've got control of all sorts of really big, important counties. And I think, there will definitely be alarms and excursions and dramas on the way. But
do you think Andrea Jenkins is going to stay a Reform mayor, or do you think she'll be out of the party within 3 or 4 years? Because she seems to be a bit of a loose cannon to me.
That's the other thing we've got to watch. Firstly, are they found out by office? And like you, I wouldn't say necessarily that they will be. Secondly, can Farage cope with someone who is a potential leadership rival? Can he cope with somebody else who's got elected power beside himself?
Andrew, just a quick one from Peter Blexley, and then we'll move on to the front page of the Sunday Times, which is another cracking story. Peter, what's your question for Andrew?
Firstly, Andrew, my mum's rice puddings are very exciting, thank you. And secondly, one of the things you left off the list about what Boris Johnson needs to do, he needs to learn how to tell the truth, doesn't he?
He's in some ways, he's actually quite a truthful person. He got through to people in a way. He didn't come across to people as the normal political game player, as the normal political salesman, and that was part of his appeal. And I think that remains part of his appeal for an awful lot of people.
Okay. Andrew, you can't be quite truthful. You're either truthful or you're not. It's like saying you're a bit pregnant or you're a bit racist. You either tell the truth or you don't.
Okay, we're going to move on. Andrew, the Sunday Times front page: Asylum Hotel King becomes a billionaire. A businessman known as the Asylum King has become a billionaire after profits soared at his migrant housing company. What's this story about?
This is a pretty good story from my former colleagues at the Sunday Times. And, we know just how much money the government is paying to hotel operators to house asylum seekers. And we now know just how rich it has made one particular individual. Wow. And I think it's another real sign of the pressure that's building up on this subject. You see briefing in the Mail on Sunday again. I think they've splashed on it that is it migrants who commit crimes will be thrown out. I think, look, there's a real problem here. My rule in government, and this is a rule that I freely confess Boris didn't always follow, but my rule in government would be show, don't tell. Don't say what you're going to do before you've done it. Just do it and then say it. So often we've had false promises that either can't be kept or won't be kept on immigration.
Yeah.
And I have a horrible feeling that Labour's getting into the same cycle. I mean, it would be great if they could throw out asylum seekers who've committed crimes, but I don't think they can. So I think this is another false promise they'll live to regret.
Yeah, this guy, Graham King, he runs a company called Clear Springs. They've got contracts worth in excess of around £7 billion. Linda Jubilee wants to ask you a question on this, Andrew, if you don't mind.
So Andrew, although most of the time I'm a journalist, I did work on a project after the fall of Kabul with inside several of these hotels. So I was aware of this story bubbling away. It's been bubbling away, actually, for 2 or 3 years. And the problem is, some of these hotels were actually failing. They go into this scheme and they start to make vast sums of money. The problem is, how do you think the government is actually going to stop this happening?
So when I was in Number 10, I actually pushed quite hard for offshore processing. And I suggested that asylum seekers should be sent to the Falklands. There's an enormous, great military base there called Mount Pleasant. Our garrison has drawn down a bit. It's reduced in size, and so there's actually spare accommodation there. It's got a great big runway. You can fly into it from anywhere in the world. It's got schools. It's got hospitals. A hospital. It's got all the facilities you need to give people a civilized place to stay. But it is in the Falklands, and the temperature never gets much above 15 degrees, and the wind never stops, and there aren't any trees for 2,000 miles. So it's not as attractive a destination as Britain, and I think that might have rather an important deterrent effect. Now, that didn't go anywhere for various reasons, but I think that's the kind of thing that this government is going to end up doing.
Interesting. Yeah, we wait and see. They've got 3 or 4 years to do something about it. Let's see what happens. Andrew Gilligan, former senior correspondent at the Sunday Times, thank you for your company. Really appreciate it this evening. Some great stories on the front pages of these newspapers. We'll go over them just after the break. But coming up next...
Baby, can I go out with my friends tonight?
Please don't go. I'm going to be really lonely if you go, and I'm going to miss you so much.
That's the former First Minister of Scotland, Humza Yousaf, who apparently is now embarking on some weird influencer career with, I guess that's his wife, talking about relationship advice. I mean, can you believe these people were, or him at least, he was the leader of a nation? That and much more after the break. Back in just a tick.
Hello there, good evening. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Hope you've enjoyed all the sunshine that we've had around today, and it will be staying fairly fine and settled for most of us this evening and into the overnight period. We do, though, just have to watch out for some showers that are going to start drifting their way in from the southwest, so primarily for the Channel Islands, but increasingly spreading into parts of the West Country later on in the night as well. 1 or 2 of those could be on the heavy side. Dry for everywhere else, though, and it is going to be a mild night, certainly frost-free, but temperatures around 8, maybe 12 degrees Celsius as we kick off Sunday morning. We do have another area of rain just slowly pushing its way into the far northwest of Scotland as well. As we start off today, the bulk of it is still out towards the sea, but we'll eventually see some showers and outbreaks spreading into the Outer Hebrides, parts of the Highlands as well. Generally dry, though, for the rest of Scotland, Northern England and into Northern Ireland as well. For Northern Ireland, though, there will be some showers cropping up later on in the day, as this area of showers across the southwest will also continue its journey northward, so gradually spreading into southern areas of Wales into the afternoon as well. Certainly rain is needed after a very dry spring so far, but these showers are going to be quite short and sharp and will provide some torrential downpours in places with the potential for some thunderstorms, maybe even some lightning and hail, so some localised impacts are possible. Further towards the east, though, it's going to be a very warm day for the time of year, highs of 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Our showers in the south are all driven by this area of low pressure that is very slowly continuing its journey in towards the UK, and that will still be lingering into Monday as well. So further outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland, and then we'll see further showers spreading in from the south across Wales. But we wouldn't take the graphics here too literally. There are still uncertainties on the exact spread of these showers as we head throughout Monday, but certainly potential for further downpours are possible. But things will settle up quite nicely as we head throughout the rest of next week with sunshine and warm temperatures continuing.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Let's take a quick look at the front page of the Sun newspaper, a showbiz exclusive, if you will. Danny Dyer says, I was off my nut on EastEnders. He took a lot of Valium and diazepam. I think Valium and diazepam are the same thing, aren't they? Valium's just the brand name. It says, ex-EastEnder Danny Dyer has admitted he was off his nut on prescription drugs during his time on the soap. The 47-year-old Queen Vic landlord Mick Carter for 9 years said, I was off my nut a lot of that job, a lot of Valium and diazepam. Danny also blasted co-stars, scripts and BBC bosses for not much duty of care, and he was speaking at a charity event in London. Linda Jubilee, what interesting front page.
What staggers me, what really, really staggers me, is people like him and other celebrities who've got some kind of drug habit or some kind of drink habit then blame someone else, when actually, isn't it just about having a bit more self-discipline, a bit more self-control, instead of blaming the BBC for a duty of care? I mean, what? At the very least, he could go out and dig someone's garden or join a charity or, you know, fill his spare time with some useful activity instead of getting stoked up on drugs. It's ridiculous behaviour.
Are you an EastEnders fan, Peter?
Not particularly, but some years ago, before Danny got this EastEnders gig, he had a series called Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men. And I had the great pleasure of spending about 3 or 4 days with him filming, because I'm deadly, apparently, right? And I have to tell you, he was the most charming, delightful man you could want to spend a few days with. He had time for everybody and was an absolute joy. And I wish him well. I hope he's off those drugs.
Good. Paul Richards, have you ever taken Valium?
I've never taken Valium, and I've never seen EastEnders either, really. I don't
Hang on a minute.
I watched it.
No, I've never seen it.
You've never seen EastEnders?
I watched it a bit in the 80s when it started. I remember Dr. Cotton.
I haven't seen any of
Was
them.
that somebody? And Oscabs, remember that? And Dr. Leg.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
After that, I stopped.
No.
So this guy, I don't really
I never
know who
watched
he is.
Coronation Street either.
No.
OK. What about you guys? Have you ever taken Valium, Peter?
Mother's little helper? No.
I did, for the dentist.
Oh, OK. I had it once. I had my eyes lasered, and normally, long story short, normally they laser a flap in your cornea and lift it up and then laser underneath. But apparently I had thin corneas, so they had to scalpel the eye and then laser underneath. And
did you have a general anaesthetic?
It caused immense pain, yeah, but the pain afterwards, I couldn't look at light for about 3 days. I was hiding under my bed covers. It was awful, so I had to take some of my mum's Valium at the time. I was 21, I think. But, yeah, that's the only time. Interesting front page. Right, I want to share with you this clip of former First Minister of Scotland, Humza Yousaf. So, of course, he's no longer the First Minister, but he released this bizarre video on social media yesterday, seemingly, I don't know what he's doing. Is he trying to become an influencer on relationships? Take a look at this.
Babe, can I go out with my friends tonight?
Please don't go. I'm going to be really lonely if you go.
Hey babe, can I go out with my friends tonight?
Are you being serious? You were out with your friends the other night.
Hey babe, can I go out with my friends tonight?
Honestly, I've had a really, really tough week and I just feel like I could really do with some company. Do you think it'd be okay if maybe you went out with your friends tomorrow night?
Yeah, sure. I'll give them a call. Sure, tomorrow night will work.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I responded from 2 different states known as the adult, parent and child. It's really helpful to understand how we communicate so that we can improve our communication within our relationships.
Paul Richards, what the hell's going on there? What's he up to?
Well, I'm speechless. I mean, that's Nadia El Nakla, who's his wife, I believe, and she's a sitting counsellor and a psychotherapist and a professional, and he's supposed to be the leader of a nation or What are they doing? It's just embarrassing, isn't it? Are they, like you say, are they trying to become relationship influencers? I don't know, but anyway.
I saw this clip, Linda.
Please just make it stop, was my initial reaction.
Yeah, indeed. Linda, I saw this clip and I just thought, you were the leader of a nation. You were the leader of Scotland. Is this the gravitas, the sort of the low-grade people we have running our nations?
I just sometimes think politicians get lost in a bubble and they start to lose perspective, they lose a sense of proportion, and they lose touch with reality. And it seems to me that is what has happened here.
The whole clip is built on a lie, because clearly he hasn't got any mates. Because if he did, they'd say, stop doing nonsense like that.
That's so right.
And I've got maybe a possibly controversial take here as well. But Peter, I mean, I would never ask my wife for permission to go out to see my friends. I wouldn't say, oh, please, can I go out and see my friends? I'd say, oh, I'm going to go out at this time, or is that convenient with you? I'd never say, please, could I go out, like some sort of juvenile? I mean, is that just me?
Yeah,
Am I being disrespectful?
And likewise, my wife would never ask for my permission for her to go out with her mates.
It goes both ways.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Exactly right. It's about mutual respect, isn't it? And just being a decent person. That's all that is. You don't have to ask permission.
Very quickly, I'm not sure if we've got this at hand. The Daily Mail front page, have we? Big story, commit any crime when you're out. Migrants to be warned. Migrants could be kicked out of the country if they commit any crime under a planned government crackdown. Paul Richards, I mean, this is default policy in places like Australia and America, surely. Why is the UK such a soft touch?
I think Yvette Cooper is getting a grip now, and it is partly a political reaction. It is about saying, look, reform are rising in the polls, and I get that, but I think also it's just good policy because it's something we should be doing. So I'm quite pleased that she's doing it. I take Andrew Gilligan's point, though. It is about showing, not telling. So we do need to see some of this actually happen for it to
it's
wash.
actions, not words.
And I'll believe it when I see it, because we'll have activist judges getting in the way, denying people getting deported like they should be. They'll be obstructing and stopping. What about leaving the ECHR? Might that not be a better ploy?
Yeah, well, Reform UK wants to do that. It says currently foreign criminals are only reported to the Home Office if they receive a jail sentence, and only those given a year behind bars are usually considered for deportation. I mean, A, reported to the Home Office, and B, considered. Surely, if you've got foreign criminals, and there are 10,000 foreign criminals in our prisons, by the way, surely if you commit any crime, from breaking a window, shoplifting, to the most severe crimes, you should be out on your backside, no?
Yeah, but what if...
That's what Yvette's saying, isn't it? And I think this is a step forward. Let's give them a bit of credit here. Let's see if it works.
It doesn't matter what Yvette Cooper says. It doesn't matter what Yvette Cooper says, because as long as you've got idiot judges that people go in front of and say, my kid doesn't like foreign chicken nuggets, Yvette Cooper can howl at the moon, because nothing's going to change.
Yeah, some of these immigration judges, by the way, they need looking at. Right, coming up in just a sec, we'll be taking a look at this viral moment.
It's not about...
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's a TV host's nightmare. I'll show you what happened next in that full clip. There's been a lot of controversy around the host and his reaction to it. So stick with me. In just a second, I'll show you that full clip and we'll go through our big weekend fails. Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
An unsettled spell across central parts of Europe, the potential to see some quite heavy thunderstorms, but elsewhere it should be mostly dry. Plenty of sunshine, bar the odd shower across parts of Greece, but Croatia, Montenegro, plenty of sunshine here. But as we shift our way further west, some heavy thunderstorms possible, particularly across northwestern parts of Spain, southern parts of France, but elsewhere across Spain and Portugal, Madeira and also Tenerife, largely dry with sunny spells and feeling warm in the sunshine too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. 6 a.m. every day from 6 a.m.
I mean, it's an absolute first for science in the UK. Of course, it's not actually the first in the world. Actually, there have been 65 children born through womb transplants. But not only is this wonderful for the family concerned, and you know, what a sister, what an elder sister to donate her womb. But there's 15,000 women in the UK who suffer from this Mayer-Rokitansky-Kuster-Hauser syndrome, where they might have healthy ovaries, but unfortunately the womb doesn't work. Real ray of hope for them. The real hero here, I think, as well as the sister, is Professor Richard Smith from the Imperial NHS Trust. He spent 26 years developing this, started a charity, Womb Transplant UK. Wow. So this was all paid for through his charity. Doctors gave up their time for free. 17 hours of surgery, not for the faint-hearted, but lovely result.
And the baby is named after the sister, Amy, who donated her womb, and her middle name is Isabel, who's after the surgeon who essentially transplanted that womb. And to do that, you had to connect all of the tiny little blood vessels with minuscule stitches. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
It really is.
It is incredible. But, Anna, I put it to you, what would you say to people who would say, what is the point of this? Because you're not going to be able to provide this on the NHS. We can't afford to.
Well, as I said, that was one of my first thoughts, I have to say, when I was looking through this. And the fact that this professor has spent 26 years and actually started a charity. There are going to be a few more of these coming, but they're not going to be funded by the NHS. They are going to be funded by charity.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Time now for our big weekend fails. This is the part of the show where we pick one moment from the week where we thought it's been pretty disastrous or an epic fail. Well, this is my pick this week.
Well, this is about incompetency. It's not about ideology, or it's not about.
Oh my goodness! We're just going to get some help here for Cameron. Let me come back to Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia, the President, we're going to go to a break right here. We'll be right back.
So this host has been getting a lot of stick for his reaction to that. I really disagree with it, the panel, because I think he did the right thing. He looked, he said, goodness me, are you OK? We're going to get her help. He tried to move on, and obviously in his ear they were saying, no, just go to a break. He's been getting so much criticism online. So it's not my fail, it's the fail of everybody else.
It's very difficult when you're an anchor, you know. When you hit with these situations at the last minute, he's caught between a rock and a hard place there, I'm afraid.
But it's not very gallant, is it? I mean, the poor woman's just fallen over. You would think the instinct would be to help a lady in distress.
So, Paul, if Peter, God forbid, collapsed tonight, what would you expect me to do as the host?
The kiss of life, at the very least.
What, live on air?
Yeah, I would think so.
Not throw to a break? I'm not sure people want to see me getting off with Peter Blexley.
Nobody wants to see me being kissed.
No, not unless I'm being paid for it.
No.
Anyway, that guest there was
okay?
Yeah, she's okay. Yeah, she was okay in the end. She just had a little episode. She was fine.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I think the host did well. He said, he was shocked. He showed some concern and moved on. So there we go.
Oh, you are heartless.
Oh, fingers crossed it never happens to me. Linda, this is your fail. Let's have a quick look. Oh, talk us about it. What's going on? Who is this?
So here we are with Ben Key, the First Sea Lord. He's an admiral, actually, and the highest-ranking naval officer in the UK has been caught out having an affair with a subordinate officer. Not only that, but he's married with 3 children, and he led the task force into leading behaviour with integrity at its core as well. So that's an extraordinary story. I'd like to go to the Sunday papers because I feel very sorry for Mrs Key, who's possibly being doorstepped by newspapers as well.
Might be just the excuse she's been after.
Maybe.
Who can tell?
always a silver lining. So was he having an affair with a Navy colleague? That's the key point.
Well, the rule in the Navy is that you can. It's absolutely verboten not to have an affair with a subordinate colleague,
right.
Which is what this woman is. She's a more junior officer. Well, everyone is more junior than him because he's running the whole show.
You know it's a she, do you?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
you never know.
The Sun and the Financial Times have led the way on this story, and they have identified the person as a she.
OK.
But can I just say, by the way, the Sun on epic form recently. They had the Prince Harry story on page 7 today. The front page was the exclusive on the Southport scumbag attacking a prison officer.
And their defence correspondent has led the way on this story too.
Jerome Starkey, a good friend and old colleague, really talented journalist. Right, Peter, this is your fail. Talk us through what's going on.
OK, 2 absolute clowns, Adam Carruthers, Daniel Graham. Here they are chopping down the Sycamore Gap tree, for which they rightfully got convicted this week. Now, and I certainly look forward to watching them getting sent to jail in a couple of weeks' time when they get their sentence handed down. But there's a bigger story here. It just goes to show what the police can achieve when they actually investigate a crime. I bet millions of people looked at that and thought, no CCTV, a tree in the middle of nowhere, how on earth are they going to catch somebody? They deployed the resources, and they did.
And they did apprehend them quite quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, with a thorough investigation, you see. But when that was reported, did the police say, oh, have you got any CCTV? Do you know who did it? Which is what normally crime victims are asked.
Do you think they reacted that quickly because of the massive... I mean, it was worldwide attention.
Yeah. Correct. But if the police actually prevented a lot of crime, they'd actually have less to investigate, and they might be able to investigate more effectively.
But then these clowns actually filmed themselves, though, wasn't that the evidence that got them into...
But they had footage.
Sure.
Yeah.
OK, but
yeah, they had,
years, aren't they?
Yeah, but to start with, they had nothing. They had to identify people that might be suspects, draw up profiles, focus their resources. It was a very good investigation. Credit where it's due.
We love our police. Yeah, we love our police.
And those 2 morons were joking about what they'd done. I mean, unbelievable. I hate chopping down plants or trees or flowers, and if you don't have to, and to do that, absolute morons. Paul, this is yours. Talk us through this. What's going on?
Well, it's simply the fact that Kemi, I think, is going to be the big political story because there is going to be a challenge to her leadership. And she went and she gave an interview to a mainstream media outlet where she said that this wasn't serious, that they didn't, somehow the threat to her was not a serious thing. It really is. And I think, she's not long going to be the leader of the Conservative Party.
Who's going to be the leader of the Conservative Party?
Well, I think the obvious name is Jenrick, isn't it? I think that's the one that most of my Conservative chums tell me is the guy waiting in the wings.
Peter Blexley, do you like Robert Jenrick?
Well, I struggle with Kimi's rather posh accent, and I wonder whether she's putting it on. Does anybody know her from years and years and years ago, or is she always spoken like that? I don't know. But anyway, as for Jenrick, I mean, he was almost a laughingstock when he was a minister. He's come a long way, and he's chiming with a lot of people.
But I tell you what he is doing, Peter, and this kind of preaches to the things you were saying earlier. It's action, not words. He's behaving like the leader of the opposition, even though he doesn't have that title.
Yeah.
He's doing more about that than she is.
Yep.
Will he turn out to be captain of the Titanic?
Who would Keir Starmer tonight be hoping to see at the dispatch box? Kemi Badenoch or Robert Jenrick? Who's a bigger threat to him?
Well, certainly at the dispatch box, Kemi is useless. I mean, week after week, she loses. She kicks the ball, she misses every single week, So Jenrick might have a better run, I don't know.
OK, there's a story breaking. We haven't got time to discuss it, but in The Sun tomorrow, Keir Starmer gearing up to fight Nigel Farage at the election as he launches the immigration crackdown. He said the Tories are a busted flush and the election will be him, Keir Starmer, against Nigel Farage. On Monday, the PM will announce a visa crackdown to wean Britain off foreign labour by saying migrants will need to have higher qualifications and better English to come here. I'm sure the Tories will have something to say about that, indeed, Kemi Badenoch, but it remains to be seen whether it'll be Kemi Badenoch, Robert Jenrick, or maybe somebody else in the election in 2029. Right, coming up next, it's Headliners, presented by Leo Kirst. Leo, what's in store tonight?
We've got Steve N. Allen and Nick the Big Dog Dixon on the panel, so it's going to be a funny one. And we're going to be talking about the hotel billionaire, the asylum hotel billionaire. And it's great to see that Labour are making some people rich. Honestly, he should start donating to the Labour Party, probably name his next yacht after them. Also, Keir is talking tough on immigration. Is he going to get tough? He says if any illegal migrants commit crimes, they're going to go back. And the Sierra Leone First Lady, who's obviously a millionaire, has a council flat in London. How is this allowed? What is our benefit system just a scam for the world to leech off?
Leo, I can answer that question. The answer is yes. I had a story, I can't tell you the details because of defamation and so on, but I had a story years ago about a famous footballer whose mother, millionaire footballer, whose mother had one of these council houses. So what does that say? Linda, Paul, Peter, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your company at home. It's been lots of fun. I'll be back tomorrow from 9 p.m, of course. Headliners is next, but first, here's your weather. Have a very good night. See you tomorrow.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Hope you've enjoyed all the sunshine that we've had around today, and it will be staying fairly fine and settled for most of us this evening and into the overnight period. We do, though, just have to watch out for some showers that are going to start drifting their way in from the southwest, so primarily for the Channel Islands, but increasingly spreading into parts of the West Country later on in the night as well. One or two of those could be on the heavy side. Dry for everywhere else, though, and it is going to be a mild night, certainly frost-free, but temperatures around 8, maybe 12 degrees Celsius as we kick off Sunday morning. We do have another area of rain just slowly pushing its way into the far northwest of Scotland as well. As we start off today, the bulk of it is still out towards the sea, but we'll eventually see some showers and outbreaks spreading into the Outer Hebrides, parts of the Highlands as well. Generally dry, though, for the rest of Scotland, Northern England and into Northern Ireland as well. For Northern Ireland, though, there will be some showers cropping up later on in the day, as this area of showers across the southwest will also continue its journey northward, so gradually spreading into southern areas of Wales into the afternoon as well. Certainly rain is needed after a very dry spring so far, but these showers are going to be quite short and sharp and will provide some torrential downpours in places with the potential for some thunderstorms, maybe even some lightning and hail, so some localised impacts are possible. Further towards the east, though, it's going to be a very warm day for the time of year, highs of 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Our showers in the south are all driven by this area of low pressure that is very slowly continuing its journey in towards the UK, and that will still be lingering into Monday as well. So further outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland, and then we'll see further showers spreading in from the south across Wales. But we wouldn't take the graphics here too literally. There are still uncertainties on the exact spread of these showers as we head throughout Monday, but certainly potential for further downpours are possible. But things will settle up quite nicely as we head throughout the rest of next week, with sunshine and warm temperatures continuing.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter.